Welcome in, everybody. We are here for another podcast. Judi, how are you?
Doing great. How are you?
I'm good. So tell us what we're talking about today.
Today is like a part two of a podcast that we did previously where we were talking about corporate America and how corporations can support the needs of their more seasoned employees for longevity to keep their skilled talent in-house and not have them leave the workforce and leave your corporation because they don't feel supported.
Welcome to the Cogni-thrive podcast, where we help you understand the signs of early cognitive decline and the many ways available to keep your brain healthy. Judi Pritchard is a certified cognitive coach with more than 30 years of experience, and her company, Cogni-thrive, provides comprehensive tools to support cognitive resilience as you age. Join Judi and her husband Philip as they continue to spread the message that dementia is not definite.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Judi, we are going to be kind of picking up where we left off on the last podcast, dealing with corporations and workplaces. Tell us about it.
Yeah, absolutely. So in the first one, we talked about how we are running into a perfect storm in the workforce environments where corporate executives and CEOs and seasoned talent are leaving corporations because they're not feeling supported. And at the same time, our younger populations aren't entering into corporate positions and aren't striving for the same type of promotions that we used to.
Right.
So it's really going to lead to this big, not only employee gap where we're not going to have enough people to support our corporations, but also a knowledge gap. So they're going to take, when people that are more seasoned leave, they take that knowledge base with them.
Yeah.
And unless the corporations have a great program to support mentorship and guidance and maybe bringing the people that are leaving back in as consultants, you're going to have a knowledge gap, which is going to impact your business.
That's right.
So today we're going to talk about, what if you're that corporate executive? What if you're that person that's more seasoned and you feel that you're struggling a little bit in your job that you've done so well for so long?
Mm-hmm.
What can you do to keep yourself up to speed?
Yeah. And I think, again, we talk about the stigma that comes with dementia and cognitive decline. So this is just one more way that you can put the ball in your court, so to speak, and get real answers to figure out, all right, am I having a serious cognitive issue here, or is this normal aging? And no matter which the answer is, we've got plans that can help you work on all of that.
Absolutely.
So let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So, first and foremost, we say it all the time, but you can impact your brain and how it's working.
Right.
So you can build strength in your brain and resiliency in your brain. So if you are starting to struggle, don't think of that as what we are traditionally and historically trained to think, that, as you get older, your brain's going to start slowing down.
Yeah.
That does not have to be the case.
You're just at that age.
Yeah.
It's just normal.
Yeah. We got to start doing that for him because he had that 55 birthday.
Yeah.
No, that's not the case. So if you're starting to feel like, I'm starting to make mistakes, I'm starting to have a lot of typos, I'm not managing the data like I used to, you don't feel quite as sharp, that's the time to get active. Don't let people's perceptions, or maybe even your own perceptions of getting older, get in your way, because they don't have to.
Yeah. And so step one would be obviously to reach out to a cognitive coach and maybe do, like we offer, a cognitive profile.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. You need to be empowered to, number one, understand your brain and how it works. Get your baselines, and the only way you can get your baselines is if you seek them out.
Right.
And this is not a cognitive, this is not an IQ test.
Yeah.
But this is strictly, you need a baseline of how well is your brain handling brain functions according to others your age.
Right.
We offer that. We have an online assessment that you can do, and that gives you your starting point. So then you can see where your strong points are, where your weak points are, and then build a program around that, a personalized approach to cognitive exercise.
Yeah.
And, there are areas that traditionally will slow down in people's brains if they don't actively try to prevent it.
Right.
Some of those areas are executive functions, things like making decisions, understanding new technology, inhibitions, like controlling your inhibitions, so not having emotional responses because you don't quite understand anything.
Right.
And then mental flexibility. not only from being able to do multitask activities where you're able to switch from one activity to another and still maintain where you were on both activities to pick them right back up and run, but also being able to see other people's opinions about things.
Right.
So if all of a sudden you realize that you seem to be getting in a little more disagreements because you don't believe a lot of people, or you're not quite able to see their perspective. So time to step back and reflect. You know, what else can I maybe do differently? Because that could be a subtle brain change that's happening.
Right.
It doesn't mean that you have dementia.
Yeah, it just means you become aware of it.
Absolutely.
And you're able to take active steps to deal with it.
Yeah, I actually think that a lot of people don't get aggressive about taking care of their own brain because they don't understand that you can do something about it. And they're afraid that automatically means someone's going to diagnose them with something,
Right.
which just causes a whole explosion of stigmas. And so that's what we really want people to understand is you can be in control of this.
Okay, Judi, so let's say I'm 55, which I am. And let's say I think I'm having issues.
Yeah.
And I have reached out to a cognitive coach, and they have determined, okay, yeah, you are having some issues, but we're going to work on it. How do I approach my employer?
Oh, that's a great one. Okay, so hopefully you have been in a situation where your employer is very open and you have a great relationship. And your HR department is extremely supportive so that you can go and talk to them and say, you know, instead of just verbally telling me appointments, if you could send me an email invite so that I can put it on my calendar and I can build in a reminder,
Right.
then that helps me. Using tools and adaptive approaches that are super simple are ways that you can support yourself and help your employer understand how to support you better so that you can still meet your deadlines. You can still make all your appointments. Those kind of things. So having those conversations early and in a way that you understand that you're not going in and asking for anything that shouldn't be expected.
Right.
You know, that should be a simple change that can be done and should be done really for anybody involved.
That's right. Yeah, because we all have different styles of learning, different ways of, managing our tasks to be done. And so it should be an easy thing. And at the end of the day, they're probably like, oh, great. Whatever I need to do to help you get your job done, that's great. But they don't know if you don't let them know.
Absolutely. And luckily, workforce environments, especially from an HR perspective, had made so many advances over the last 10 years, especially around mental health.
Yeah.
This is an area of mental health in that they can help you relieve a lot of anxiety you may be facing by doing simple approaches to help you cognitively.
Yeah. Yeah. And a lot of mental health issues may simply be, mental health is dealing with your brain.
Absolutely.
And you never know what some of the issues you may be having are just brain changes.
Yeah. And it's not like you have to go in and say, I'm having cognitive issues. I need help.
Right.
You go in and you say, hey, I'm starting to struggle a little bit because my boss, Joe, won't, he just likes to walk through the hall and tell me, oh, by the way, we're going to meet at this time on this day, while I'm in the middle of another conversation and not realize that I may have missed that entire schedule.
Yeah.
And so just send it to me on an email.
Yeah.
Or while we're in a big meeting, try and eliminate all the sidebar conversations so everyone can stay focused on the topic.
Yeah.
Simple approaches like that really are professional and leadership growth skills for the entire team.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to be labeled as a cognitive approach,
Right.
but really a way to better everybody involved.
Yeah. I know even at home, my human resources director is Judi, and she loves to, when I'm walking out the door, say, hey, run by the store, grab this, this, and this, and this. And what's the first thing I always say to you?
Text me or email me.
Text me or email me, because I know I will remember one thing. And even if it's not on the text when I get it, she'll be like, did you get this? I'm like, wasn't on the text. Didn't think about it.
And I'm really glad you brought that up because even as focused as I am about cognition, you still get lax.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't mean that if your employer is not being what you may consider super supportive, it may just be they just need a reminder.
Right.
And to have awareness.
Yeah.
And even I need reminders at times, and it's perfectly fine. But you're right. That's a perfect example of written out form, people have different learning styles. Those learning styles change as you age.
Yeah.
And it's extremely important that you have self-awareness of this.
Yeah, and I'm aware of it. I used to go, God, I can't believe I keep forgetting stuff. And I'm like, you know what? My brain just can't, it's not the way it works.
Yeah.
So I'm not ashamed. I like it. Give me a list. Let's go.
The other thing is, the self-awareness too of your lifestyle influences on your brain,
Right.
such as making sure you can hear adequately. There was a study recently that showed that if there is a hearing loss that people have not appropriately aided with hearing aids or whatever compensation they need, that it could lead to dementia at a 40% higher rate.
Wow.
Simply from a hearing loss, because you're missing all of that stimulation. And so take the steps to empower yourself. Take care of your hearing. A newer one that's coming out is your visual changes. Take care of your vision. Some of these things you don't need to wait for your employer to set up the system for you to do that. You need to empower yourself to take care of these things.
Right. So you talked about this kind of falling under age discrimination, possibly.
That's right.
So how explain that a little bit, elaborate on that a little bit more.
Yeah, any kind of discrimination or stigma is really people's beliefs about a group or a condition that are not founded or grounded in truth.
Gotcha.
And it's more like it's a rumor type thing that people buy into. And so that's related to age as well. When people automatically assume that, and because that's historically what we've told people.
Yeah.
As you age, your brain slows down.
Right.
And that is true if you don't do something about it.
Right.
But as health conscious as we are these days, the next natural step of that we all need to take is understanding we need to be just as aware and just as focused on our brain health as we are any other, whether it's our financial health or our physical health. We have to take care of our brains just as even to me, even more importantly, take care of your brain. Because what good is it to have a strong body or a strong bank account if you don't have a strong brain?
Yeah. You don't know what to do with the money or how to go work out. So what does it matter?
Absolutely. So the first step you have to take is understanding what your baselines are. Then retake that test at least annually so you can make sure that changes aren't starting to creep in. We know that changes that lead to dementia start decades before it's ever diagnosed.
Yeah.
Those are the times that it's easiest to write your path and avoid that diagnosis.
So what's the earliest age for someone who they're having no issues?
Yep.
What's the earliest age you would say, you know what, go ahead and do the cognitive profile now at age what?
18.
Really?
Oh my gosh. Well, even think about it. There are even high school programs now, especially sports programs, if the school is more progressive, that are managing and having brain assessments done for cognition to help prevent impairments from concussions. So it's that level of awareness of how important it is to not only avoid injury, but if you're in a situation where injuries may happen, how to know what your baselines are so that you know going forward, even as you're healing from the outward signs of a concussion, for example, how do you know your brain is healed?
Right. So they could just take the cognitive assessment again. And
Absolutely.
if there's any drastic changes, then you know there's more serious issues going on.
Absolutely. So we've even had our kids take it.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And they may not have to take it annually,
Yeah.
but they should at least take it every couple of years so that they can manage. Because again, when we talk about changes happening decades before diagnosis is hit, those are changes that you don't outwardly know it or feel it, but the structural changes in your brain are happening.
Right.
And the only way to detect that is by testing.
Right. Wow. Good information.
Yeah, absolutely.
As always. So, all right. So let's flip back to corporations and putting these places or these plans in effect.
Yeah.
So that's something Cognitive Coach, like our company Cogni-thrive has, to kind of get the ball rolling on that, right?
Absolutely. Just give us a call. First and foremost, we'll make sure that you have everything you need to know how your brain is functioning and to help keep it functioning well, or even to enhance your resiliency in it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Great. All right, guys. Great information as always from Judi. Remember, if you would like her to come speak to your corporate event or just you individually to learn more about cognitive health, just reach out. Visit our website, cogni-thrive.com. Judy, any final words from you?
Yeah, even if you have a question or a concern, give that to us. Call me. Let's talk through it. I would much rather you do that and I answer 50 questions that don't lead to anything versus you worrying about it and not addressing something that can be simply handled.
That's right. All right. You heard it there, folks. We will catch you on the next episode. Thanks, Judy.
Thanks, everyone. Thrive on.
Thank you for listening, and remember, we are not physicians, and you should always consult your doctor about what treatment is best for you. Please visit www.cogni-thrive.com to learn more about our services or to book Judy to speak at your next event.